Further impacts. Marsh Lane also, not only will we have a large bridge for Risborough Road, Marsh Lane will also go on a bridge apparently 10 metres above ground. Be a lovely, interesting view from there. Then we have this interesting element that the Prince's Risborough Rail Line has got to cross High Speed 2, south of Booker Park, west of Stoke Mandeville. And the Prince's Risborough Line will have to bridge HS2 at least 9 metres above the ground to allow again for what it needs to do. Maximum rail gradient is 1 in 100 for that standard line. So 9 metres in vertical height means 900 metres horizontal minimum, possibly even more. So at 900 metres either side of that crossing point, that's where that rail will start to rise. The HS2 route passes close to roads on both Southcourt and Fairford Leys. The maps that are displayed here today, there are actually some transparent rulers that you can actually put against those maps to see how close some of these features are to the line. The route rises from 1.8 metres above ground level to 5 metres above ground level. A 200 metre viaduct begins west of Ellen Road, at 5 metres above, falling to 4.5. Oxford Road crosses High Speed 2 on a bridge 3 metres above ground. On the golf course on Fairford Leys, High Speed 2 goes half a metre up to 3.9 down to 1.3 metres. Interesting enough, on map 11, the supporting maps, and I thought I went to Ruislip last week, so I went to one of the exhibitions. The supporting maps they're using don't show Berryfields as an allocation on any of their maps. So the houses that are being built are actually more impacted. The maps they are showing of an eastern growth arc around Aylesbury, which actually no longer exists because Aylesbury Vale, with the permission of Mr. Pickles, withdrew its core strategy. So there's supporting information based on an eastern growth arc which doesn't exist, but current local plan allocations do. A41 Bicester Road is rerouted and diverted over High Speed 2, with the A41 crossing on a bridge at least 9 metres above the ground. A temporary diversion is proposed while that bridge is built, because obviously what they propose is to build a bridge alongside the existing road, then divert the road, then they can build the track through. In addition, Blackgrove Road further along is diverted over HS2 4 metres above the ground. Other local impacts. This was one, I put it out on an email on Wednesday as my Wednesday curveball. There's a bit of an issue that hasn't been taken into account about waste transfer. Because just north of here, and another thing that falls under my area, because I'm lucky like that, is Calvert, a landfill site, where there may be in the future the possibility of a waste disposal facility of a different sort. But I know one of David's colleagues was quite exercised about. Because we've heard from him lots. However, having said that, Calvert currently imports 500,000 tonnes of waste from London into that site, because London does not have the capability to manage waste within its own boundaries. And that has always historically been the case. That is transferred at a waste transfer site in Ruislip, within the London Borough of Hillingdon, which is directly on the route of HS2. We're trying to figure out what this actually means. Will the waste transfer site have to move? Will it be closed? Will it continue to operate? If it doesn't continue to operate for a period of time, what happens to thousands of tonnes of London's waste if it can't go on rail? Does it go somewhere else to go on rail? To Calvert? Does it go somewhere else to go to a different facility? And therefore Calvert have to be compensated for the lack of etc, etc. So there's 500,000 tonnes of waste on trucks to Calvert. Not sure we really want to be seeing that. So there's something else in there. There are broader engineering impacts in this work as well. You've got viaducts on this route 16 metres high. You've got cuttings elsewhere further north 17 metres deep. So we're talking the sort of Stoke and Church, Risborough, what do you do with spoil? What does it mean for minerals allocations? There's all sorts of huge issues. There's others still yet to be determined. We're discussing this today. There are major issues that we've still got to be determined. There are churches on the route that will be completely cut off. There are churches that you won't be able to use for services because the rail line goes so close. There's a playground at a school in either Northamptonshire or Warwickshire where the route goes directly through. And if you go further south for us, down in Amersham, in Cheryl Gillen's patch, where the train comes out of the tunnel. It's 1.5 to 2 fields away from the school, so that constant noise of trains emerging and going into the tunnel, what's that going to impact in terms of the school? So what on earth, after all that, are your councils actually doing? Because clearly we don't know very much about this project. We're actually working together. Your councils, now for those in the room who are councillors, do you remember that project called Pathfinder we tried to do? Where we did enhanced two-tier work, where we said districts and county working together. Didn't really work, did it? Funny, HS2 has actually succeeded where Pathfinder failed. And it's actually brought 13 councils along the route together, championing your interests and our interests. We're doing our best, as 51M will be formally revealed next week, to avoid NIMBY issues, because we don't want to be accused of being NIMBY, or being accused of one thing I read recently, the Buckinghamshire squirearchy. Someone said about the real chance of cancellation. Yes, actually I believe it is possible to cancel it, but anyway. We're trying to avoid NIMBY issues. We're building effective partnerships. I actually chaired the meeting today of all 13 councils with key expert officers on the environment side, so we're working very heavily on that, and we're aiming to make best use of resources. It is our clear aim to work on behalf of our residents to actually identify sufficient information about HS2 to ensure that any response we submit is in the best interest of residents, whether they are for or against it. And we have to recognise that the councils represent people both for and against. What you can do, find out as much as you can. David's already highlighted websites. Check out the county's website. Check out as many websites as you can. Stop HS2 is another one. HS2 Action Alliance. Visit a roadshow event. Yeah, I did. Almost still got the scars actually, but roadshow event. Don't expect to get any answers when you do visit the event.
Oh, good.
Because we asked questions and we didn't get any answers. There's actually a piece in the Uxbridge Gazette today where someone's written into that effect. They asked questions and didn't receive answers. But still ask the questions anyway. By the way, roadshows, and this thing about roadshows, there are the definite programme of roadshows, and Jenny highlighted when it comes to Aylesbury. Today there was one in Milton Keynes, at Milton Keynes Station. Next Tuesday there's one at Northampton Station. Now apparently those aren't roadshows, and they've just been added in as additional events. They're information and awareness raising. So back to the issue of others around the country being encouraged to voice their support for the schemes. Milton Keynes and Northampton are being told you will have lots more services in the future. Actually, don't believe everything you hear. Talk to friends and neighbours. Yes, we have hundreds of people here this evening, but talk to others, because I am sure there are people out there who don't realise the impact this scheme is going to have if it was to go ahead. One important thing is consider if you, or the Action Group, or anyone else wants to put in a submission to the Transport Select Committee. That will be meeting later in the year. Our deadline for submitting for entering submissions is the 16th of May. We can provide you with all the contact details required. The submission needs to respond to the questions that are being asked, and it should be no more than 6 pages in length. But we are looking to get as many submissions as we can so we can present evidence. It might not stop the scheme, but a select committee, I imagine, does have the power to go back and make recommendations to the Secretary of State for how changes should be made or additional work should be done. And yes, please respond to the consultation by the 29th of July. So just to conclude, on the slide is a picture of John F. Kennedy. He said on one point in time, the great enemy of truth is very often not the lie, deliberate, contrived and dishonest, but the myth, persistent, persuasive and unrealistic. Belief in myths allows the comfort of opinion without the discomfort of thought. Thank you.